Gina, we're here.
Hi, Abby. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. I mean, for so many reasons. I am loving the vibe of your room behind you. For anyone listening, you can't see this, but in the social clip, you'll see this fantastic wallpaper, beautiful artwork behind you. And it just reeks of your styling efforts because you have been a stylist for a bajillion years. Can we
Mhm.
talk about, before we get into your connection to women's wellness, how did you end up in the styling world?
Oh my gosh. Wow. I feel like I was born into it. Well, I shouldn't say I was born into it. My father, may he rest in peace, he always loved fashion and style. And when I was a little girl, he was one of those things where we would go shopping and he'd put all my outfits together. So he was my role model, my mentor. Um, and then I went to school in New York and here in LA, FIDM and FIT. And I never really was going to pursue styling per se. I was into fashion merchandising, and my dream was always to be like an entrepreneur, have my own business, which I did. But it was one of those things where I think I was like 20, 21. Forgive me, I can't remember the exact age. But I ended up moving out to California to be with my mom because my parents were divorced. And we were living in San Diego. And one weekend I came to LA, I met a boy. And
Mhm.
next thing you know, that boy led into a flourishing relationship, and I'm taking a train to Union Station every weekend
Oh
from
boy.
LA, right, from San Diego to LA, and he was in production. So it just kind of unfolded very organically, naturally, and the crowd that we were hanging out with, I ended up meeting this woman who was a stylist who needed an assistant that just kind of jump started.
Happened.
Yeah. So I was doing TV commercials and doing editorial for a handful of years until I was um, hmm, late 20s, 28, 29. Got extremely burned out. You
Hmm.
can imagine the whole industry just completely burned me out. But at the time, I was with my then husband.
Hmm.
We got engaged, and I really wanted to have a family. However, I didn't want to give up my career either because being a stylist and working with so many brands and showrooms, I created such a beautiful relationships and this long roster of incredible creatives and people I wanted to continue working with. So we were engaged, and I made the decision to pull myself out of the entertainment industry. But along the way, I created relationships with many executives, many women, like high profile women, a lot of moms that really still needed, personal styling. And I recognized that there was a gap where these very busy, high professional women needed support, but didn't really actually have the wallet or the time to shop or to hire like a big time stylist per se. So I had this small idea when we were house shopping, we stumbled upon a home that had a little detached guest house. So I converted this little detached guest house to a private by appointment only studio for my clients. And it became my little utopia. It was nicknamed as the crack house for 20 some years. And I still have it. Well, I don't have it anymore. I just closed the doors in December of 2024, but which I can get into that later. But it was a beautiful little space where women would come and I would shop, I'd style them. And obviously I would shop outside my studio and we would host trunk shows. But it was a beautiful time because we would have I would invite various female founders and small brands, and we'd host various trunk shows and little wellness, like little type events that would bring community together. And I loved it more than anything. When part of my job was about networking and bringing women together, but most importantly, making women feel beautiful and sexy and confident. I mean, that was part of my job. You came to me, you were going through a divorce, maybe you were starting a new job, maybe you just had a baby, you were in transition. You hired me or you came to me, I need help. I need to get my groove back. So that was part of my job to make you feel sexy and confident and feel good. So I had this little by your appointment studio for 20 some years called Spool, and it's a beautiful garden, and it really evolved into the crack house. Women loved it. There was after hour shopping parties, and we hosted many events. And then I just recently transitioned out of it I made the decision last year to close the doors, which was a very bittersweet and big decision for me because, as you know, I launched the Fondle Project in June of 2023.
Mm. Okay, and we're gonna get into that. I want to ask you
Yeah,
a couple more things before we move into Fondle Project, but
sure.
um, how did people find you? Was it mostly word of mouth?
All word of mouth, referral base, lots of moms through my daughter's schools or clients, very because it was on my property at my home.
Hmm.
And at the time, when I first started, there was an ugly kitchen back there. There was a small, tiny bathroom, and I literally started with ugly little rolling racks and a hand-me-down couch. Just styling women. They didn't care, right? So it really involved in something really beautiful. It was it's basically your best friend's closet,
Hmm.
but it was you had to be referred because I had two little kids. It was my private space.
Yeah,
I've had some weird people
sure.
through the years, and in the beginning, if you can believe this, I declined a lot of press because
Mm.
it
You didn't
was
want to be out there and have your address
yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
because a lot of people would approach me like, we love what you're doing. This is private space. It's like the hidden gem in Los Angeles. We need your address. Mm-mm,
Mm.
wouldn't do it. So it was, not only was it a curated selection of designers and brands all over the world, it was also a very curated group of women and clientele. And I love that. I mean, women would show up after drop off at 7 a.m. in their Uggs and pajamas.
Yeah.
And we'd have coffee, and we'd chill. Or I'd roll out of bed. I'd be
Hmm.
breastfeeding in my sweatpants. Like it just was just so relaxed, laid back, and we would just have fun playing dress up.
Mm. I love that. I was just going to ask you, you pursued motherhood during this time that you also had your business
Hmm.
and you made it all work.
Made it all work. Baby in the slings, but yeah. And again, look, it was a luxury for me as a new mom to be able to go to work, you know, at my house.
Yeah.
Literally would put my baby in the sling and go meet with my client in the back, and they were totally cool with it and fine and great. It was a lot of women don't have that luxury to be able to work and be able to pick up their kids or take care of their kids, and but that was engineered that way. That was
Hmm.
my plan. Like I went to Steve and I was like, this is what I want to do. I know it's a big risk walking away from a lucrative position as a stylist, but I believe in this. I want to do this and I can raise our babies and still do what I love and be able to generate an income,
Hmm.
So, and it worked for me for 20 plus years.
I love it. So now let's move into the Fondle Project or even pre-Fondle Project. How did you touch your life with cancer? How was your life touched by cancer?
Oh, yes. Okay, well, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 67 or 68 years old, postmenopause, excuse me. And so I was 31. Yes, I was 31 at the time. So that put me in a higher risk category. I had very large breasts post babies, and I had very dense breasts. So being high risk, I was thrusted into a rotation of mammograms and ultrasounds every 6 months for 10 plus years. It wasn't until the 10 years later, 2016, at the age of 41, normal ultrasound, normal mammogram,
Mm.
but I was very, very proactive with my self exams because of my mother. I was constantly fondling my boobs. My
Hmm.
ex-husband would say one of his fondest memories of me is my ex-wife fondling her breast, like feeling myself, like,
Hmm.
what is that? You know? So normal mammogram, normal ultrasound, but I kept feeling something. So I went back to my doctor. I brought it to her attention. She felt it as well. She did another on-site ultrasound on me that day, said, nothing alarming. I feel it. There's nothing to be concerned about. Come back in 6 months. That I literally, I forgot to mention, my husband and I had separated, so I was newly single at the time. So I was 41, newly single, but in a new relationship, and I had two young children, two young daughters. And I just said to my doctor, I'm like, hey, I have to be honest with you. Like something doesn't feel right to me. My intuition's telling me otherwise. What would be my extra layer of reassurance? What can I do? This I don't want to wait 6 months. She was like, well, you can get an MRI, but it's gonna come out of your own pocket because the insurance isn't going to approve it or pay for it because you had normal screenings. Fine. I was newly single, two
Mhm.
young girls, two young babies, little girls. I'm like, let's do this. Now, again, I was in a position where I could afford to do something like that. Again, a lot of women don't have that luxury, right? Fast forward to pursuing the MRI, which unfortunately came back with suspicious findings. And interesting enough, my first pathology from here, a very well-known hospital here, no names mentioned, came back and said it was benign.
Mm.
Well, my ex-husband and I are very big on second and third opinions. And at this point, Abby, I was like, I've come this far. My intuition is telling me, let's just take it the next step. I'm just going to continue being my own advocate. I'm going to send it off to Sloan Kettering in New York and MD Anderson in Houston, Texas.
Smart.
And fast, that was all in around Thanksgiving. And then it was on New Year's Eve of 2016, I got the call from actually my ex-husband who called to tell me the news. Because prior to that, when I got the phone call about the suspicious findings with the MRI, I was in my car with my dad at the time,
Mm.
and I literally almost went off the road. And you hear we found something. There's suspicious findings. I almost crashed. So I gave my doctors the permission. I said, look, as we pursue these second and third opinions, you need to call Stephen, my ex-husband, because we were very amicable and very good friends. You need to tell him first because he needs to deliver the news to me when I'm safe. When I didn't want to be with my daughters, just to make sure that I was in a safe space where I was not driving or somewhere else with a lot of people. So I was in Stowe, Vermont at the time with my then boyfriend who was not at home. And he called me and said, I have some good news and bad news. And don't remember what the good news was, even though
Mm.
what could actually be good news when you're delivering news to your ex-wife that you indeed have invasive ductal carcinoma. So it was then on New Year's Eve, and I got the confirmed diagnosis from both hospitals
Mm.
that I had invasive ductal carcinoma. So I started my journey in January of 2017. Yes, January 2017.
What's the first thing you did?
Well, I went to fight or flight mode. You mean when
Mm.
I found out the news
Yes.
or wow, yeah, that I had just left Chicago because it was Christmas. I was in Chicago with my ex-husband, my daughters, celebrating Christmas, and I was heading to Stowe, Vermont to meet my then boyfriend to celebrate New Year's. He was skiing. I was home enjoying the new snowfall. He called me. I hang up the phone. I ran out into the snow. I buried myself in the snow. And like, you know how you do like snow angels? I was like doing the snow angels and breathing. And I started to scream and cry. Because when you hear a diagnosis of cancer, I think right away, am I going to die? And the first thing I wanted to do, I ran back in after I, calmed myself down a little bit. I ran back into my room and I called Stephen back and I was ready to get back on a plane to go back to Chicago to be with my daughters because that's all I wanted to do was just to be with my kids. And after I calmed myself down, I had to literally just pull myself together and I went into fight or flight mode. And we started working together as a team while he was in Chicago and I was in Vermont to get an appointment in New York because I was headed to New York after Stowe. So it worked out like, okay, let's call up Sloan Kettering and see when the first available is. At the time, remember it was New Year's Eve. So we worked together for about 4 hours that afternoon, which this is a big, a good helpful tip for everyone who's listening. Have all your medical records together, organized on a file on your desktop. Because that day when I called Sloan Kettering to get an appointment on the end of the day, New Year's Eve, They had an appointment, I think it was like January 3rd. However, they could not secure my appointment, Abby, until they had 5 years of all my medical records. Fortunately, Stephen had maybe 90% of everything on like together and organized, and we were able to like forward them and email them everything.
How did Stephen even have that? Just from
He
being
has all,
proactive and
he's
smart?
super smart, very
Wow.
proactive. Like he has every scan, every lab report, every mammogram from the last like, he's awesome that way. So,
Amazing.
and I'm grateful for that. So, but this is just moving forward, have all your medical, I mean, now everybody has the portal, right? But your scans and stuff, you should have digital copies of those.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think it was like 15 minutes before 5 p.m. before they were closing for New Year's, I was able to secure everything. And that's when my journey started. I ended up going to Sloan Kettering, got my first available appointment with this amazing breast oncologist surgeon there. And we went through all my options, and I went with a lumpectomy at first. And then that came back with the pathology, and he gave me my options. He told me a couple
Wait,
weeks
what was
later.
the pathology? First of all, what was it in both breasts?
No, it was just in the one on my right, and it was very slow. It was a very slow growing cancer. It was invasive ductal carcinoma. We didn't know the grade yet, but we just knew that it was a slow growing tumor, which is in my favor, obviously.
Yeah.
And he gave me the options to either stick with leave it at the lumpectomy, move forward with radiation and tamoxifen,
Hmm.
or double mastectomy and radiation and tamoxifen. So after much consideration, I chose a double mastectomy, and I declined tamoxifen, and I declined radiation. So
And
I
he
went
was
with that.
okay with that.
He was okay with that. Yeah.
Hmm.
But I went with other opinions too. I mean,
Yeah.
I originally was going to start this whole journey in New York because I had a partner in New York, but then I realized my support and my community, my ex-husband, my daughters were here in LA. So I had the lumpectomy in Sloan, came home, figured it all out, got my things in order, met with various oncologists and plastic surgeons to get other opinions, and I had my double mastectomy here, and it was the best choice for me because I was very well taken care of. My community came forward and just took care of me,
Which is everything.
which
So
is
it's, yeah, I
everything.
know. Did you, when you knew you were going to have the double mastectomy, were you concerned about your breasts uh, optically? Did you care? Did you want to have reconstruction right away? What made you feel better about what that was going to look like and feel like?
It was a very easy decision for me because remember, for almost 11 years, I was being prodded and poked with these screenings and scans, and I had so many biopsies through the years that were always benign. I was over it. I had already given birth. I had breastfed my babies. I was 41, going to be 42 years old. They were large breasts. They were lovely, but I was like, you know what? I'm done.
Mhm.
If this is, I'm okay with this. I'm
Mhm.
going to make peace with this, remove them. We'll move forward with reconstruction. And it was just a very easy choice for me.
Mhm.
And it really, many women that are on this journey, it really upsets me when people say like, hey, at least you got a boob job out of it. I'm like, no,
Mm.
no, that's not the way I look at it. But it was a smart decision for me. And I went with double mastectomy, reconstruction with implants. However, I recognized my implants were making me very sick.
Mm.
So I noticed within 4 months, and again, following my intuition, and you're going to hear this a lot from me. As you know, women, as a woman, our intuition is so strong. And something just kept telling me something's not right. And I had all these weird symptoms, and I was sick. And I wasn't sick when I was originally diagnosed. So every doctor that I had approached, I have this, I have that. And they're like, Gina, like you had cancer, you had double mastectomy, you're healing. It's all in your head. I'm like, I think so. Anyways, I recognized and realized that I indeed I had breast implant illness. I removed them within 13 months. And I chose to, there was a very brief time that I was considering going flap because my only other option was deep flap, a flap surgery. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they take your own tissue and blood vessels. It's a big ordeal. You're
Mm-hmm.
5 nights in the ICU, and
Mm.
I was under for 17 hours. It's a they compare it to heart surgery, big deal. And I was like, I don't think I can do that. But then I was like, I'm still young, and when I after all of this, after everything has been said and done, being single and going through reconstruction and breast cancer and having these scars and whatnot, there was a short time, where men were just not interested.
Mm.
It's heavy. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go flat. So I chose the bigger surgery and went with deep flap. And I have to tell you, it was the best decision of my life. All the symptoms evaporated like rather quickly, and best decision on this journey for me.
So this brings up two questions. One, the boyfriend that was in Stowe, Vermont when you received the news, did he stick it out with you?
He did.
Okay.
He did. We were together for actually that we were a year into our relationship when I was first diagnosed. We were together for 4 years, but it was long distance, LA
Hmm.
to New York bicoastal. And unfortunately, that takes a toll on one. We both had kids, and we ended up, our relationship had to end. However, he was by my side along with my ex-husband through everything. He was amazing. So I was, again, very, very lucky to not only have him, but my former spouse bedside. He was, when Greg couldn't be at a doctor's appointment or be here post surgery, my ex-husband was there, which was amazing.
Amazing. Is it hard to have an additional breast? Like in terms of your skin, your healing, your body, I feel like they open up your chest area, they do so much, you finally heal, but you can't really heal because you have the implants, and then they're going to open it up again. Was it worse? Was it better? Was it no big deal?
It was a big deal.
Hmm.
It was because then I gained more scars too. Um, it was definitely a big deal. So it took me a long time. I mean, I'm 8 years out now, and I lost all my confidence.
Hmm.
I'm not going to cry, and self-esteem for
You
sure.
can't, you can cry. You wouldn't be the first, and you're in good company.
I definitely did. But remember, my job is I'm a
Helping other
fashion
women
stylist,
get
helping other ones
confident.
feel good.
Mm.
So there was a time post all of this, post reconstruction and going through all this, I'm like, how do I show up to my clients if I'm not feeling good, if I'm not feeling sexy? So it took me a good like 2 years to really like lean into that and to really work on healing and boosting my own confidence and
How'd you do it?
self-esteem. Oh my gosh, a lot of
Therapy, I'm sure.
lots of therapy surround, having you'll agree with this on all fronts and no matter what you're faced with in life. When you're faced with cancer, I really believe that part of healing and to truly thrive, it's a mindset. So I really had to get in that mindset to just, surrounding myself with love. I did a complete purge in my life. And what I mean by that, I'm talking, I unloaded clients that no longer served me, friendships, just decluttered my life because something obviously was off balance. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Obviously, I was carrying a lot of stress in my life, probably from my marriage, divorce, lots of things, right? And so I cleaned house first. I purged first, you know, did like an inventory list of what no longer was working for me. But then I just started figuring out things that really make me feel good. And one thing that made me feel good once had 6 surgeries, right, in 13 months. So after I went through all of that, I, I remembered what really made me feel good was getting dressed every day. It's part of Fondle's, ethos. Getting dressed every day really helped me heal and boost my confidence and feel good again. And putting on beautiful clothes, maybe it's a piece of jewelry, and just helped me regain my confidence and make me feel whole again.
Mm.
Just doing self-love practices, journaling, infrared saunas, breath work, meditation, eating well, being with my kids. I love to dance. I mean, love to dance. I will have a dance party in my house for 3 hours by myself or with my daughters. There's just something so healing about that. Like I will turn the music up or put my earphones on and I'll just be rocking it out and just everything is just, you know, just sloughs away.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so lots of therapy, being with my friends, walks, nature, things like that. Moving my
Amazing.
body was a big deal. And if if I can be truly honest, when I found myself newly single again after that long distance relationship of 4 years, there was about maybe 9 months to a year I dated very young men
Mm.
that helped me. Like just kind of helped me. I mean, we're talking in their 30s,
Mhm.
it made me feel good, made me feel alive again.
Smart.
And, but I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. I knew that there was no future whatsoever. This was purely for me to
Mhm.
have fun. And I was very transparent and clear with them, like, look, we have fun together.
Mhm.
Like, let's just, it's just sex and fun and dancing and, surfing and all these things, like fun road trips. And that's all it was. It wasn't going to lead into anything more, but that really helped me. That was a stepping stone.
I love that. Very smart and in control, which I love.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, first of all, how were your daughters during all of this? Were they completely freaked out at first? How young were they?
They were very young. So my youngest right now is 12. My oldest is 16. So my oldest was about 7. My youngest was about 3 and a half.
Mm,
My 3.5-year-old, she was young. She didn't, they were just going through the divorce,
right.
processing all of that or the separation. We weren't divorced. Our divorce wasn't finalized yet. But my oldest one took it okay. And I think one of the reasons it helped her process everything is that her teacher at the time was diagnosed with breast cancer, and we
Mm.
shared the same oncologist and breast surgeon and
Wow.
reconstructive plastic surgeon. So Marissa really took Ava under her wing during school hours and talked to her and Ava was able to witness Marissa thriving and feeling good. So I think that she was like, oh,
You
well,
can
my
be okay.
teacher, my
Hmm.
mom's going to be okay. And we did approach her and said that I had the good I mean, no cancer is good,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
But we told her mommy had the good cancer. Well, I
Hmm.
caught it early and we're on top of it. And, we answered all of her questions. And look, now she's 16. And I have to say, proud mama moment. She actually helped me kind of jumpstart Fondle, but she is now become more empowered within her body. She's
Hmm.
paying attention because unfortunately my daughters have an extremely high risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer. She has to start screenings at the age of 20.
Which I'm
So,
really glad that they're going to do.
of course,
Did you do the genetic test? Is it BRCA related?
no,
Okay.
I do not. None of us have the gene, but for those who don't know, 90% of breast cancers, there's no gene, there's no family history.
Right.
A lot of friends, a lot of women that I know, they'll be like, "Oh, I don't need a mammogram. I don't need my ultrasound. I don't need to go to my doctor. I don't have any history. I don't have the gene." But it's not the
Doesn't
case.
matter. Yeah.
Because unfortunately, women are being diagnosed much younger,
Yeah. And you're
unfortunately.
running your business during this time too, as best you can. And then how did Fondle grow out of this?
That's a great question. Okay, so Fondle, you know, I'm on the other side of healing and all of that, and have been meeting so many incredible women on this journey, building my community with breasties, right? We call each other breasties.
Yes.
And the common thread between all of us is we all lacked self-esteem, we lost our confidence. Some women were single. I mean, even though we all had a breast cancer diagnosis, some of our paths were very different. We're all on our own path. But what I recognize that everyone was lost their confidence. They lost their hair, breasts, body changes, all the things. But I also recognize that a lot of them, including myself, we were allowing cancer to define who we are. So I needed to change that.
Mm.
So being a fashion stylist and being in this new community that this new club, I wanted to create, at first it was a very small idea originally. It wasn't even supposed to be a campaign. I just wanted to gather like a handful of incredible women. I had this amazing local female photographer that was willing to donate her time to photograph these women in beautiful clothes and make them feel seen and beautiful. That was pre-pandemic. Fast forward, and then it was put on hold. Fast forward post-pandemic, my daughter, Ava, my oldest daughter, found a lump on her breast, redness. And I didn't panic at first. We called her pediatrician. He told me to give her a compress, blah, blah, blah. So I'm in the shower trying to guide her to show her how to put this compress on her, on the redness and the lump. And it was at that time where she looked at me with her big, beautiful brown eyes, like, Mama, do I have breast cancer? This is a 14-year-old. And I was like, kept my shit together, walked her through it, talked her through it, ran outside into my studio, called my ex-husband screaming and crying, like, she is 14, already worrying about this. This is not okay. And that kind of just started, my wheels are turning again. I'm like, I need to do something because the younger generation are not learning about their bodies. They're learning how not to get pregnant. They're learning how to not contract an STD. They're learning about sex ed. Women, I mean, women are younger and younger and younger being dismissed. I was dismissed at 41. So I revisited my idea and I approached my now boyfriend, Charlie, who's a DP, who's amazing, who was not with me while I was going through all this. We just met. We'll be together 5 years this summer. And I told him my idea. I was like, I want to do this, but I want to kind of knock it out of the park.
What did this mean to you? Like when you're like, I want to do this, what did it look like to
I
you?
wanted to just like get these women together and I wanted to interview them. I wanted to share their stories. I wanted to spotlight their resilience and their strength and just empower them and make them feel sexy, and create a more elevated and modernized, like a modern campaign. Because breast cancer, as we all know, is pink. Everything's pink. That's fine. I love it. It brings awareness, but my demographic is the younger generation. I wanted something to really, I want people to create something that was really going to have people lean in and be like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And pay attention. So we just started brainstorming ideas and names. He was the one that came up with the name Fondle because he had asked me, he's like, walk me through how you discovered your lump. And I was like, whoa, it's fondling my breast. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, how about fondle? And I was like, I don't know about that. So I had to kind of sit with it for a bit. So we came up with a name. I started brainstorming. I started curating the brands, the female fashion brands I wanted to work with. But the caveat was if you wanted to be a part of this campaign, you had to donate a percentage of the proceeds to 3 organizations. I'm going to present to you 3 organizations. You get to choose one of them. So I curated 7 female fashion brands and I pitched to a friend of a friend who's a beauty fashion photographer out of New York. Her name's Kate Powers. She loved the idea. And the Fondle Project was born. And it went above this. The photo shoot alone was above and beyond my dreams. It was hosted at Milk Studios. Every single person on this shoot, all the creatives, including everyone donated their time. This community came together to spotlight these women, all of us. There was 10 of us. And 5 of them were younger than 35. One of them as young as 24, all misdiagnosed.
Mm.
And there's only one of us that had a family history, and that was me. So epic campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. We raised, I think, 40 some $1,000 in the month of June.
Amazing.
Amazing. Great. Here we are on the other end. I had no idea, Abby, what I was doing. All I know is I made an impact. We had a beautiful launch party, raised a shitload of money, helping women. And then
And then what?
I had to take a beat
Yeah.
because it just consumed me. I'm like, I was a mom, a girlfriend, running a business. Like, remember, self-care is important, especially when you have a cancer diagnosis.
I just
So
want to
I
give
was
a
like,
caveat that I did not bring this water bottle to this podcast recording because it's pink for cancer. It's my favorite one. It
I
just
love it.
happens to also be pink for cancer.
Love it. Um, so I just had to take a beat. I literally had to take like it was June 1st. I kind of took the summer off because I was like, because everyone was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" I did some interviews here and there, and then I had the fortunate opportunity to be on the Drew Barrymore show, and that is when it all kind of started. They gave me $10,000. By the way, I wasn't a nonprofit yet. It was in the back of my mind. I'd started the process, but I just wasn't sure because that's a it's a big it's a big order. It's a big,
Mhm.
nonprofits are no joke, you
Yeah.
know. So I had that opportunity and it was amazing and they gave me $10,000 and that kind of jump started. So that was a February of 2024.
Oh my
Right?
gosh. That was
Yeah,
like just now.
yeah, last year.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
February. We're in 2025.
Yeah.
Yes. So February 2024, pretty much, yeah, we've been a non with that jump started us, and we are now a nonprofit. And since then, we are moving and grooving, and we're gaining momentum, and we've had a handful of events and various partnerships. But the the main my what embodies Fondle is this. It's about empowering you as a woman, right? Putting aside where I want to help women on this journey, because Fonda wants to bridge the gap between healing or between treatment and healing, because when we're in the midst of treatment, no matter what that treatment looks like, we are fighting for our lives. People do come together, family and friends, the community, carpool, meal trains, support, which is beautiful and always welcome, and we love it and appreciate it. But let's talk about the aftermath. Let's talk about year and a half later. Where we need that support. My healing didn't start for about 2 years. So that's where Fondle comes in. We want to provide the holistic resources and the community and the tools for women to truly heal. You know what I mean? A lot of women just want acupuncture and they can't afford it. We want to be able to provide those resources for those women. You know, maybe it's a beautiful wardrobe. I want to be able to style you, make you feel whole again and beautiful. So that's where our money, I mean, yes, we're creating events and activations and editorial forward campaigns, but that is how we want to help women on this journey. I want these women to live, to thrive. That's what they want to do.
Mhm.
And a lot of women don't have those resources or the community to thrive. So, but I also want to educate you, Abby, all the women to feel empowered and to know your body and to know your normal, because you know firsthand, being a mother and going through everything that you've gone through and running a business, we tend to take care of everybody but ourselves,
Mhm.
right? We put our health to the side. And it is so important as women to make ourselves first. Self care, self love is a priority, okay? And I want to encourage all women to slow down and please do not rely on your once a year annual doctor's appointment to feel your boobs. Don't. Our boobs change all the time. Okay. Every month, every week they change. Become familiar with your normal, right? I'm not trying to instill fear. Just get to know how lumpy and bumpy that could be very normal for you. Pay
Mhm.
attention, jot it down. You may feel something, don't be alarmed. That could be very normal, as you know, as the various hormonal changes that we go through. I want you to pay attention. I want you to lean in. My intuition, my advocacy has saved my life, and I'm hoping will save others. Every story, as you know, like you're doing, you are sharing powerful stories to help other women, to other families. So it's about educating, empowering, bringing community together and having a safe space for women to learn how to properly perform a self exam.
Mhm.
I've hosted 7 events in the past 6 months, And majority of the women do not know how to perform a self-exam. And that's okay. I didn't know really, so women, I mean, it's time. Let's talk about breasts. Let's talk about our, women's health. Women's health is very much in the spotlight, but our sexual health, let's talk about all of this. Normalize these conversations, normalize self-touch, normalize breast health, all the things. It's
Yeah.
so important. And
It's
educate our
everything.
children, our young girls.
Yeah.
My 6-year-old is now knows how to perform a self-exam. She knows like her
So good.
body's changing, but she's just in tune. And
Or
it's
even
so
like you were talking about sex ed within the infertility community, it's so enraging because we always say how sex ed has failed us. Totally, they tell you how not to get pregnant the like 3 days a month you might get pregnant, but you don't know that it also might be really hard and what to do to keep it from becoming really hard and what to do when it's really hard. Everything is one dimensional and we need the full picture from start to finish. I think that's what's so important about the work that you're doing.
yes, we have to. It's empowering women and giving them the confidence to even ask the questions to your doctor. I mean,
Hmm.
I know many women on this journey, Abby, and I'm sure that you've met them that have had a breast cancer diagnosis that their doctors do not discuss with them about infertility.
Right.
You've got to have that conversation.
Preservation. Oh my God, it's
Yes,
like it drives me insane. Or
yes,
sometimes they're like, you have 4 days to make a decision if you want to freeze your eggs or not, because then we have to start treatment. And you're like, whoa, can we talk about what that might look like? What it would look like if I wait 4 more days? What if it, right? They're just like, here's what you need to do, and you need to do it now. And you're like, well, where have you even been? I found this, you know?
exactly.
Oof.
It's having these uncomfortable conversations and having the conversations and having somebody also, I highly recommend if possible with you or on a FaceTime. Like my ex-husband, when he couldn't be there for, because it's a lot of information to take in when you're meeting so
Yes.
many people and when you're faced with a diagnosis like this, have somebody there to take the notes and ask the questions or write down your questions, and talk to other women that have been through this, or been through it in infertility, gone through infertility or whatever. But one of the girls in our campaign, Rebecca, she was diagnosed at the age of 31, went through all the things. I believe was told she couldn't have children. She had
Mm,
her miracle baby. That little baby was in our campaign to give women hope and to, like, don't give up, like to inspire them to be your own advocate. She was told she couldn't, but she kept fighting and fighting and doing all the things, right, to take care of herself as she went through the IVF process and the self-love and the nurturing and all those things that are very important, as you know,
right.
and hormonal health. And she had her beautiful baby,
Incredible.
little baby boy. So I was like, let's capture this. I think he was only 2 months old.
Wow.
So I mean, I could talk about this for hours, just like you. I'm very passionate about it, but it's really I want all of us to feel safe and confident and have the conversations. Feel your tits. You know what I mean? Like just feel your
Just do
boobs.
it. Yeah.
Feel your boobs and don't forget your underarms and your armpits and your clavicle. You go to your OBGYN, she gives you a quick like, oh,
Hmm.
you're good. Just do it.
And
And
do you still get mammograms or do you do MRIs?
I get my MRI tomorrow.
Mm,
I do not get mammograms anymore because I don't have breast tissue. So I
yeah.
do have to get the breast MRI. Every year, I still do my self exams
Hmm.
because, I have scarring that I have to still pay attention to. It's very important, and I do the best that I possibly can, limit my exposure to the plastics and the chemicals. I mean, we can't live in a bubble, but I'm also, that's another thing where Fondle's about prevention and educating women about clean beauty products and things that we put on our body, not just foods and
Hmm.
body movement. It's read labels.
Hmm.
See what you're exposing your body. Hormone just, this.
I'm so
Hormone just,
passionate about
yeah,
this. Yeah.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
mean it's all intertwined, like all of these things are it's just so important.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's how Fondle was born. And I'm super excited, but I'm nervous.
Hmm.
There's a lot of unknowns having
Hmm.
a nonprofit, but I've been very fortunate where the right brands and the right women are getting involved that are aligned. Not everyone's going to be aligned with our
Hmm.
movement, right?
Hmm.
And I've had brands that are not aligned with my ethos that want to partner with me, and I'm like, no, you're
Yeah.
not part of my ethos. So it's just I'm just allowing it since day one, since I birthed this, everything's been kind of happening organically, like, and I'm expanding my wellness community, and I'm meeting so many incredible women that I'm learning so much from, and hearing other women's stories, and because at the end of the day, we want connection,
Yes.
right? We want community, and women, let's continue to lift each other up. It's so important.
It's everything.
We need one another and we need to hear stories. I
Yeah.
want to hear your story. People want to hear my story, just like we need these stories in
We
our
do.
orbit. We do.
And if people want to support, we'll of course link out to all of your stuff. But if people want to support the Fondle Project, what are the ways they can do it? Obviously, they can make a donation. Great, amazing. Let's do that. How else can they help spread the word about the Fondle Project?
I mean, there's so many ways. Number one, we're always looking for volunteers,
Hmm.
because we're always, you know, creating events and stuff like that. We're looking for volunteers to be part of our events. We're looking for women or family or someone that lives here locally that wants to host a dinner or an intimate conversation or a small intentional conversation, open their home. Donation, of course. There's if you follow, please follow us. If you see something that we post and it resonates with you, share it. As you know, this is another thing that I'm trying to like make peace with, like building a brand with social media. It's really hard,
Yeah, it's a lot of time and effort.
so liking, comment, sharing our content. We started a Fondle Friday to really make it part of your routine.
Mhm.
Encouraging women like brushing your teeth. Like it's Fondle Friday. Have you fondled your boobs? Have you performed your self exam? Like, you know, only if it resonates with you, right? Like, you know, share with a friend if you know someone's going through this. Send her my way. I'd like to share her story, see how we can help her, in the future.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that we did this and we get to
Thank
see each
you.
other in
Yes.
at the
Two
time
days.
of recording, it'll be in 2 days. Yes, which I
Yes.
can't wait. We can talk even more and give each other hugs. And I was going to say we could do a Fondle Friday because it'll be a Friday and we're going to be with a lot of women and we should make it a Fondle Friday
At the
at
event.
the event. It should be like
Totally.
just a reminder. I
For
mean,
sure.
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell Zoe, yeah, for sure.
Okay. I'm
Absolutely.
I'm so glad we did this. I've been to one of your events. That's where we initially met, and it was really beautiful and incredible. And I can't wait to be at more and vice versa.
Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to hug you on Friday.
Same.